Hello, and welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackblade, and today we are playing some Satisfactory. And one of the big requests that I have gotten in the past has been, how do I set up an easy aluminium? Like they wanted a step-by-step guide to how to set up your first aluminium processing facility. Aluminium being the most complex basic resource, like bauxite being the most basic raw resource to process outside of nuclear power, like uranium, but for construction and production and stuff like that, this is the most complex cycle that you have to build. And if it's your first time playing, it can be a bit daunting. You get to this point and you're like, uh-oh, what do I do now? So I have made a very, very simple setup that will produce 480 Alclad Aluminum Sheets and 160, I think, aluminium casings. So, with that said, let's get into the step-by-step guide to making aluminium. Alright, so before we actually start going here, there's a couple of assumptions that I'm making about your world, about your save, and all that kind of stuff. 1, you have access to a few hard drives. 2, you have access to, you have upgraded so that you have the Mark V belts unlocked, even if you don't have the Alclad Aluminum Sheets producing, so you can build them constantly. But there are a few places in this build where you will need the Mark V belts. And if you don't know how to get a hand on your Alclad Aluminum Sheets beforehand, you can go into your awesome shop after you have unlocked the aluminium processing in your hub, and you can go into parts. And if you scroll down, you can see that you have Alclad Aluminum Sheets here, which is what you need to be able to make the Mark V belts. And other than that, as you can see, there's a weird resource nodes and stuff like that. Those are mods. That mod list is in the description, and along with everything is in my Google Drive as well, including this save. So you can go and download this save. It is going to be in the tips and tricks save files. You can find all of that in my Google Drive, which is in my Discord. With that housekeeping out of the way, let's start taking a look at this. I'm just adding in a little bit here. This is future Jack over here, editing Jack. And what I realized is I didn't give a warning. If you are going to use this save, if you're going to the Google Drive and you're downloading this save or any other save that takes place in this world, like the classroom world, that uses these mods, you need the same mod list. All the game, the world will crash. It's not going to work. So make sure to get the classroom mod list from the Google Drive as well. It will also be updated as of today because I added a new mod that shows what you've built on the world map, so you can see your stuff. And that means, yeah, sorry for interrupting. Let's get on with the video. So there's a few assumptions here. Number 1, you have a full 600 pipe of water being brought into your production site. I have just placed this down. This is a modded thing that allows me to place down nodes. Just to showcase this in a clean environment where it's very, very clear what's happening. So this is technically 2 water extractors, fully overclocked, and then merged into a full Mark II belt, which I have then split out. So if we go over here and we look at this, right, they are sending 200 each in these 3 pipes being split here in the junction. And I will also do another reminder. Make sure that you have placed your valves first, or that if you place your valve like this, that you then replace your pipes like this. Otherwise, the valve can cause a little bit of an issue with your flow rate and have an inefficiency of up to 5%, which can completely destroy any system that utilizes liquids. So this is just a very, very easy fix for when you're using valves to create stable flow, because otherwise it tends to be that if these are unlocked, uncapped, it can go up to 300 here, right? So if something happens and like one of them's like has full water, there can be like a little bit of a backflow, so that stop having flow rate, and 300 is suddenly going in here, and it causes like a bound, like a hammering effect over there that is like causing a backflow and causing the flow rate issues. So a great way of having that fixed is just these valves. They are golden, and you should be having them by now since you are at this point in phase 4. Now, 600 water is like quite easy setup, and as you can see, I haven't merged these over here or done like manifolds or anything like that. I split them over there, and I am doing this. And the reason for that is I am treating each of these machines as a separate production line, a production system. And I will explain why in a minute, but first let's look at the bauxite. So let's just fly over here and look at this machine. Aha! And this one is overclocked. This is a pure node, right? But even if you have a normal node, in like with a minor Mark III, which you should be able to build in phase 4, you can unlock everything using the awesome shop, like doggos, advanced resources dropped by crash sites, whatever it is. But you should be able to place down at least a couple of Mark III miners and overclock them up to giving you 600 pieces per minute. Or if it's a pure node, you can do it with a Mark II miner. But either way, you have this, and you can see I have been very nice and put out the numbers here on signs. So it's very easy to see. This needs to give you 600, like the water needs to be 600. You need 600 bauxite. And in our first machine group over here, that is being brought in, and down here you can see I'm splitting this. This comes in on a Mark V belt. It has to. It's one of the few places in the factory, like there's not going to be a lot, but there's a couple of places. And this will always be running at 100% efficiency. And you will also notice that sometimes, and this is like just a PSA, sometimes these machines look like they are not going at 100% efficiency. That is not the case. They are going at 100% efficiency. The numbers are just off in the machines sometimes. I have double checked this later down the line, like the end products for this is actually producing at 100% efficiency. So there's just a skew in the efficiency number on these machines. But yeah, you can see that they are not overclocked or anything, and they're using the alternate recipe sloppy alumina. Or alumina. You're making alumina solution in this one, right? And this is an alternate recipe that you should immediately unlock, because it makes it very, very simple to work with round, easy numbers here in the... can't actually ping inside the menu, okay. But that you can work with here, that makes it very easy to split, like a 600 node. You need 300 or 600 belt, you can split into 3 machines, right? Or if you do overclock this, if I remember correctly, I'm just gonna do this, we can see. Yeah, it can go up to 500, which makes no sense, right? But you can bring it to, if I remember correctly, if you go to 150, exactly, boop-a-boo. That means you can have 2 machines making 360 per minute, but that makes it harder to deal with the outflow. Like you need a Mark II pipe, but you're not utilizing the full Mark II pipe, and like it can cause a little bit of issues. So I tend to just do this. Boop, at 100%. 3 of them, no problems. No problems at all. Now, if we go from here, autosave might cause a little bit of lag here, but let's move on to the second step of this, and the reason why we are having a, like, counting them as separate production lines. So, like, this is production line number 1, number 2, and number 3. And you can see over here that I'm counting it like this. There's 3 times 240 sloppy alumina solution being made here. And it goes over, and you can see these aren't being merged because it's a 1-to-1 ratio for each of the next machines. But the reason why we are counting them as separate systems is because of this. Because we have byproducts. And if we look at this, the display sign here, you get 3 times 120 water as a byproduct. And instinctually, and like, I don't know why, people want to recycle this, and I understand that. People want to, like, reach the, like, Paris Accords, like, they want to do their part to help environment. But we are literally on an alien planet, and our mission is to find resources and exploit them. You don't need to be environmentally friendly. You're not gonna run out of water. Like, there's no reason to be, like, resource effective with water on this world. You have an infinite amount. It's kind of the same thing as with limestone, which is how we solve this. But yeah, as you can see, we have 3 times 360 belts coming out. They're still not being merged. Why is that? Very simple reason. We only have access to Mark 5 belts, and 360 times 3 is 1080. We need Mark 6 belts to merge these belts, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to keep them as separate systems, but that's only one of the reasons. The second reason is when you don't have separate pipe, or when you don't merge pipes like this, we could, because it's 120, right? We could put this in a Mark II pipe and just put that over here and then manifold it up so that it distributes among all the machines. We could do that. However, we're not going to. The reason for that is to avoid problems. We want to keep a 100% efficient system that has no problems with the flow rate. Okay? You can see this is a very, very steady 120. And it goes over here. So let's look at the resources coming in for this first. So aside from Alclad Alumina, we need coal. And we're getting 360 coal. It's 120 per machine. Once again, if I remember correctly, these aren't clocked in any specific way. No, they're like natural state, because each uses 240 and each of these machines makes 240. So that's just to keep it very, very simple. Alright, so here's where we deal with our byproducts. We're bringing in 450 limestone from, once again, it's a Mark III miner, but you should be able to get 450 limestone, like, very, very simple. Like, you're at phase 4. Like, this used to be endgame. This used to be the pinnacle of pinnacles in the game, and like, you have very, very little limits on your like, playing at this point. That's all I can say. Like, my tip is, if you have run out or you have problems getting awesome tickets like these coupons, if you have problems getting them at this point, all I can say is build a little factory that makes adaptive control units and just sync them. Like, no purpose for anything else, because they give like 76,000 points per or something like that. So they are a very, very simple way to very quickly boost your production, like, of tickets. And that's all I can say about that. Like, you should be able to use your awesome sync and hub and everything to just unlock everything very, very quickly. Unlock the entire, like, I think it's tier 7, tier 8 you get at that point. When you have tier 7, tier 8, unlock everything. Like, when you send phase 3 stuff, just immediately go on and unlock everything in 7 and 8 using tickets and syncs and like doggos or crash sites. I don't care, but you should have accessibility to all of the materials so that you can just buy them in the sync when you need to. Same thing with like alternate recipes and MAM and stuff like that. Like, just get that stuff unlocked as early as possible so you have alternatives. Now, 450 like limestone being brought in, that is actually too much. It is too much. You can see that it's backing up here a little bit, because the point isn't to make an efficient factory for this. The point is to get rid of the water that is the byproduct from that. So if we look at this, none of these are going to be 100% efficient. They're all going to be at 96%, or they should be. So we are making, if we look in here, at 125%, we are making 96 concrete per machine in these. And that's 95% here. Like, once again, an error, this should be 96. because that is what it's actually making. Like, it is working, like everything is going at 100% efficiency. Otherwise, like, if that wasn't the case, this has been running for hours, by the way. If this wasn't the case, like, I would have noticed by now, because I have done troubleshooting like 5 different times just to be safe, so that I don't give you a broken build. But yeah, here we have like the process, like, and you can see water is always like running into this machine. It's never like getting blocked. Like I said, I've been running these for hours and they haven't blocked. They've just been at this because that's the state at which I started the machine. And that makes concrete. And just to be smart, because you always need so much concrete, I put it like this, right? So I've set up like a storage unit here. So it's going into a dimensional depot uploader, and you can see in here, like, it's always going to like be sending that stuff. And that's a Mark III because that's the maximum speed that this can upload with. So you always have like extra concrete coming in, and this is like, what is it, like 96 times 3, that's 288 extra concrete per minute. And like, I would say that that's a pretty decent backup or like boost to your concrete production, so that you can build more and bigger factories. But yeah, this is how you have dealt with the byproduct that comes out of making all of your aluminium scrap. Now, just to be safe here, which aluminium scrap recipe are we using? If we go in and look at scrap, oh, that's Alclad. Scrap. And we look at the alternate recipes, right? So we have this, which is the one we're using. That's the basic recipe. You have alternatives to this. And like, this is just what I've done. The most efficient one in the game is the electrode aluminium scrap that uses petroleum coke that you make out of oil, and then it uses the least amount of alumina solution, something, like the least amount of bauxite per aluminium scrap you're making. And I think a fully overclocked one of these gives you, like, if I remember correctly, it is like stupid amounts. Let's double check. 250%. Yeah, it gives you 750 per minute. So that's almost a full Mark V belt of aluminium scrap per machine for 450 aluminium solution. Like, that's not gonna be the case. You don't get that efficiency with what we're doing here. But this is going to be your first setup, and it's going to enable you to build Mark V belts on the regular and like make that your standard and like all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fine. Now let's go on and check down the line. What happens with all the scrap? Like, first we make our like 100-ish. It's 96 per machine in here, right? But the scrap is what we actually want, right? And we're sending that over here. So that is 3 times 240 lines. So each of these lines makes 240. If we go over here and look at it, makes 240 aluminium ingot using the alternate recipe. If I go in here, boop, aluminium ingot, and we look at this one, we are using this. We're not using the pure aluminium ingot, we're using the base recipe aluminium ingot. And the reason why we're doing that is, as you can see, 90 makes 60, making it a lot more efficient. Like, that's what, like a 30% loss to make the aluminium ingot. Meanwhile, this is a 50% loss, so we want to be using the more efficient recipe for this, because it means we have more in general, and silica is such a cheap resource to make. If you're making alumina solution, if I remember correctly, the base recipe actually gives you silica, which makes it easier. I just set this up as a separate production line here, over here, but yeah, we have 360 coming from each of those 3 machines, so that's 3 lines with that can deal with 90 each in each machine. Like 90, 180, what's like 180, 270, 360. So each of these lines handles 360 exactly. And the silica, if we take a look over here, is our next raw resource incoming to produce stuff. We need 540 raw quartz to do this. You can see, like, once again, you should be able to do this either with a pure node Mark II miner fully overclocked, or a Mark III miner like this. Like, if it's on a normal node, it can be get to 600 at fully overclocked, or at a pure node, it's 112.5%. So, or a Mark III miner. So, it needs Mark V belt, as you can see, to be brought in. This is another one of those, like, small places. But in here, it splits, right? And we split it very early, so we need to make less of the conveyor belts. We don't waste our precious Alclad aluminum sheets before we are producing them automatically. So now, if we look at each of these machines, we go in here, you can see that this is overclocked to 200%, because otherwise we would need twice as many machines, and I just didn't feel like it. Like, at this point, you should have, like, shards coming out the wazoo. Like, you should have so many overclocking shards that it's, like, silly. But generally, like, you have 3 groups of 4 machines, each making 75 out of 45. So it's very, very simple. Like, 45 times 4 becomes 180, and 180 times 3 becomes 540. As simple as that. And then the result is 75 times 4. That's 300 silica per machine group being made. And because of how it's set up, we get a solid 300 line for each. Don't ask me why it is being, like, backing up and, like, all that kind of stuff. Part of me thinks it has to do with the short output lines. We're gonna be talking a little bit about that later. But yeah, there is a different line. Like, it goes in here and it helps make the aluminium ingots, right? So we end up with 3 lines of aluminium ingots, 240 on each line. We can, like, double check that over here. 240 on each line. And if we check the next step of production, we need this. We need copper. Because Alclad Aluminum Sheets uses copper. There's a single recipe. You can't avoid this. You need copper ingots. And you don't need a lot. That's the good thing. For each normal, like, non-overclocked assembler making sheets, you need 10 ingots. So a single Mark I like, impure node miner can still make like, enough copper for 3 assemblers making Alclad aluminum sheets. Like, we assume, once again, that you have access to Mark III miners, or Mark II miners at least. So you can make this 160 per minute, and you can see over here, if we fly over here and look at this, and how it's using this normal standard recipe. I didn't care too much about, like, super efficiency here, specifically because, like, why would I? It's such a small amount needed. You are in phase 4. You have, like, access to multiplying, like, thousands upon thousands of ingots in other locations when you need. Don't go bigger just for the sake of it. It's just going to tire you out ultimately, I think. So what I've done here is very simple. I've just made sure that we have our 5 plus a 6th one that just makes 10. So that one is underclocked to only produce 10 per ingot, or 10 per minute. And the reason is we need 160. We don't need more. There's no reason to make more. And that also means that, like, ultimately I could go to, like, increasing this and have, like, a smart splitter splitting off the overflow to allow for, like, more efficient production if I need that, or whatever I need, right? Either way, so we are here. And this makes 160. Like, let's go over here and check. So if we look at this, these are even underclocked. And why have we done this? The reason is quite simple. It is because I want to have an even number of machines. that are going at the same efficiency over here, and that is exactly what I have achieved. So if you look at these, they all have their 100% efficiency. I hate when I accidentally click stuff. I accidentally started focus mode on Windows, and now it started like alarming me all the time. Okay, so either way, we have 160 being made here at 100% efficiency, regardless of what like weird numbers we're getting over there. We are actually getting the numbers we should over here. And more importantly, we are getting those important numbers here. If we start looking at these, you can see we are at 100% efficiency on the first. That is bringing in stuff from over here. We are also merging two of these lines, as you can see over here, right? And we are merging them into a Mark IV line over here. And here's, I'm going to show you a couple of things that we're going to be talking about. That sign is there to remind me so I don't forget to bring it up. But yeah, we have the Alclad Aluminum Sheets. They are all at 200%, and the reason is so that I don't have to build 16 machines, I can build 8. And I have them all set up the same. They are all just doing their thing. They're making 60 sheets per minute each, and that means I can just use a Mark I belt out and then merge them over here. So, as simple as that. We have everything, right? No, there's a little bit of an inefficiency happening right in front of us if you can spot it. Like you can see that the belts are kind of backing up. And what you can see here is that there's a slow progressive build-up in some of the machines. Like, not here, but these last 3 machines have that slow build-up. Why is this happening? What's going on? It's like, has something happened? Like 60, what is, it's like 60 times 8. Oh, that's 480, so it should fit on a 480 belt, right? And that's a Mark IV belt, so that is a 480 belt. Why are we having this? Why is this happening? That has actually everything to do with the distance of this versus the speed of this, right? So what is happening here is essentially the machine doesn't have time to bring all of the parts out, and that is causing a backup here. And you can solve this in one of two ways. And I have left the problem here intentionally because I'm going to be using one of those solutions that doesn't require me to rebuild the entire freaking factory. And one of them is to lengthen this so that you can always fit the full, like, 3 Alclad aluminum sheets can always instantly be expelled. Or what you can also do is, now that we are producing these, you can upgrade this. Like, give this super speed. Or even if, like, even maybe split up the output here. Right? And then merge them later on. So that they have, like, I don't have as many resources on the belt or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of different solutions that you can do to this. But sometimes it's not just about the belt speed. And you're gonna notice this if you're using a recipe such as, like, steel screws. You will notice, where are you? Steel screw there. Every time it finishes a cycle, which a cycle is 12 seconds, it's going to pump out 52 screws. That is a lot of screws. It's just going to go like, nope, go on belt now. That's almost a full Mark I belt every minute that it needs to be able to move out of the machine. So even if you have a fast enough belt, it might not actually have the time to do that before the next 12 seconds are up. Alright, so here's how I've chosen to solve this, by making sure that we have 2 lines of outputs that I am then merging over here. Boop. No problem. As you can see, it is flowing 100%. No backing up, no blocking, no nothing. It's just going. Alright? So that's how you can solve it one way, right? To make sure that there is no such thing as this backing up. I could also now, because of this, upgrade to Mark II belts along the entire road here. Generally, what it turns into is 160 sheets and 480 or casings and 480 sheets. This one is super important, and the reason why I have split it like this is so that you can upload it 3 times faster than normal. You are uploading this at what is it, 240 times 3, so that's 720 items per minute that is being uploaded to. So if I remove all of that, you can see it goes up very quickly. And the reason for that is to make sure that even if you don't have the production for like all 3 of these to be like fed at that speed, because of this storage buffer, like they will always be fed at the maximum possible speed anyway, unless you manage to somehow empty all 3 of them. Like if you're building a worldwide mega bus using Mark V belts or something like that, okay, you're going to run out of these before you're done with that project. But like it's quite easy to take what we have looked at today. If we take a little bit of a flyover here, right? If you just look at this, and like I said, this save is going to be available. It's going to be in the Google Drive that is going to be available in my Discord. You come in, you can look at it, you can look at all the machines and how they are grouped and how they are overclocked and what recipes they're using and everything. So that's going to be available. It's more of like a hands-on version of like a modular file, if you want to look at it like that. I've waffled on a while, my voice is going a little bit, so I will leave you with this. I hope that this is an insightful step-by-step guide. I hope that you feel like you can follow this, or if not, that you can at least look at the save, if that's going to help you. Anything to help you really like build your aluminium without feeling too overwhelmed. A great way of looking at it is like by dividing up the resources. A lot of the times we start by bringing in all the resources. I tend to do this. But what also happens is you don't need all the resources in one go. So it's okay to go like, hey, I need the water and bauxite. Let's start there. And then I need the coal, and I'm going to fix that step. And now I need the limestone. Now I'm going to bring that in. And then now I need the quartz. Now I'm going to bring that in. It is okay to do it like that. It is not the fastest or most efficient way, but it is a great way from keeping yourself from being overwhelmed, which tends to happen because it's like normally this level of complexity happens at like the last step of a production chain, not at the start of a production chain. So it is fully understandable if it is difficult to tackle the problem in the first place or tackle the project in the first place. Thank you so much for being here. And if you like the video, show so with a thumbs up, and make sure to comment, subscribe, and if you really want to go above and beyond, you can join the list of sub or Patreon subscribers and YouTube members that is popping up around now. And they want your company, and that means that we can do more with the community. I am looking to start some dedicated servers for the community to be able to play Satisfactory and other games together. If you have it in you, do that. Either way, I will see you guys in the next video. This video comes out like Thursday the 3rd, and what I will do is on Friday I will stream the Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt release. So if you want to, I start streaming at 7 like Swedish time, at 7 in the evening, and I'm going to go until like 5 in the morning. So come on over and hang out in the stream. Set Friday evening. So see ya. Bye.